unanimous decision. He got his clock cleaned back in 2010.
Yep.
And against Chad Dawson, there's a technical draw, so that one doesn't count too much. But then he lost to Carl Frosch before that, a unanimous decision. That takes us all the way back to 2008. And he won a unanimous decision against Darnell Boone in 2006. Well, that one sounds pretty good, except that you know what a lot of those decisions were like.
I know exactly what those decisions were.
Career. So, really, it doesn't look like the resumes stack up very well to indicate that even the first fight would have been very competitive.
No, I think I really honestly did, Professor. I questioned the first fight why they matched up. I don't see anybody out in the division period that's going to give Kovalev much challenge, other than arguably Andre Ward. But we're yet to see what he's going to do as a division. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, now that's the only one I see that's got the skill set to drag him into a type of fight that he could lose. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only one by far. Adonis Stevens is a slugger, and you don't go into this guy can outbox him. Plain and simple, Kovalev can outbox him. I mean, you just look at what he did, and you said Freddie Roach told him he had the best jab he'd ever seen or whatever. You know what the jab count was last time? I appreciate George. I got the stats on the screen. It was 61-14. He landed 14 jabs in 8 rounds. That's less than 2 a round. Pascal landed. That is crazy. And whereas Kovalev landed right at 8. I mean, the total connect, Kovalev landed almost 20 punches a round. And that's just astounding. And then Pascal doesn't have enough output, period. His punch output isn't high enough to, anyway. I mean, he's got one of the light, he's almost 20 punches a round lower than what the average light heavyweight output is. He throws about 34.9, something like that, and the light heavyweight average is 53, a little over 53. And
yeah, and when there's not a whole lot of power behind that, against somebody who has both volume and power.
So,
boxing ability, I think that's a disaster.
It's a disaster. And I'm going to give y'all the precision prediction from Casey, Robert. I'm going with Kovalev to win by TKO, round number 6. Professor's got 5. So we're going 6 or less for sure.
Yeah, I think that he'll go 5. They're not really that far apart, but the reason why we think it won't go as far is that Kovalev figured out what to do the last time. He's by far the better fighter. He's the better boxer. He's the better banger. And he just has so much more ability. He has the better gas tank even. And he'll really pretty much do what he wants. Because when you have that much more ability, the adjustments are easier. You can turn it up a notch.
Exactly.
And Pascal cannot. You mentioned his jab, and Freddie is so sanguine about it. One of my big words here. Optimistic.
Cut it out.
Yeah. I'll tell you a big word joke about that later on. He can't throw that jab very often because what happens when he throws it against Kovalev is that Kovalev beats him to the punch.
Exactly.
Early in the fight, he jarred his head, GGG style, with a couple of them. So Pascal kept his straight punches in because he just simply didn't have the hand speed and the timing to land them. And his best and almost his only punches that landed cleanly were looping hooks with both hands, mostly the left hook. Some landed to the body, a couple caught Kovalev flush, and just made him stand up, but not anything that would have slowed him down. Pascal would have to land a handful of them in a row, flush unblocked before it did anything really serious to Kovalev.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And then, Gonzalez even outlanded Pascal. That's why that decision was ended up being as questionable as it was. I mean, he significantly outlanded him, truthfully. I say significantly, he outlanded him by almost 20 punches, I think, something like that. It was close. In both jabs, he outlanded him more so in the jabs than the power punches. They were a little bit closer, but he outlanded him in both on a 10-round, fight. And, Pascal fought a lot better than what was anticipated. What people thought he would do the first time they fought. Honestly, in my opinion, I felt like he fought better than what they thought he would fight the first time. What the majority of the public thought he would fight. What's happened since then is Kovalev's got another year of experience. Pascal's got a year older. Okay,
Pascal took some damage in that fight.
Exactly, he sure did.
A little bit of his ability from that fight alone. Because Kovalev hits very hard, and he tagged him quite a bit.
Exactly. And I just Kovalev, he can go. He can either turn the output up and fight, just get you out of there like he did against Muhammad, or he can box, and like he did against Hopkins. This guy, he's got a very underrated skill set. And as you stated, and I've stated, the only person to take him the distance is Hopkins, and the one and only Darnell Boone. But which by now I'm sure every listener we got knows that Darnell's part of Team Fight Serve, which is the next topic we'll get into. But guys, this is my baby girl here. How you doing, Bird?
Good.
You doing good?
Yes.
She's with her daddy tonight for a little bit here. She's a softball megastar, and she's a little nervous. She's never been on there in front of the whole world. No, I'm used to it, and I'm used to standing in a courtroom full of people, being the center of attention when you're talking or whatever it may be. So, kind of don't really bother me. That on-air button means we're on live there. Okay, the whole world can hear you. But I'm not sure if the ones in Argentina and Spain and Germany and all can understand you, but they can hear you. And we do have a lot of listeners over there for some reason, and I appreciate it. We thank y'all. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is I got to stand up for my guy. All right, and I felt like we got done wrong today. Okay, actually it happened yesterday. Went down more yesterday than today. If you looked on BoxRec on Monday, Dmitry Bivol, which is a very great up-and-comer Russian prospect, he's already got a title in 5 fights, 5 knockouts. He fought in the World Series of Boxing as well. Had a scheduled opponent. Now it says to be announced. His scheduled opponent was Darnell Boone. Okay? Well, now, after being approved by the state ophthalmologist, for some reason, now they're having a question is, he don't meet the eye standards, the vision requirements. Well, I think it's 282 is the code in California State Athletic Commission, vision requirements. He's well within those vision requirements. Okay, and he's already approved anyway, so, okay, now, I don't know who made the decision, Engelbright or the boxing, Kornelov himself. My point of view is that I think they may have just thought it was too big a risk. Too big a risk to take. Because as we've often stated, even when we interviewed him on here, he's the only man that knocked Andre Ward down. He put Kovalev down. He knocked out Adonis Stevenson. And right now he was on a perfect, his career path, his trajectory was taken back off. And finding him matches is hard enough because they know. You can go to our Facebook page or you can go to the website and the video's there. His last fight, it was Jimmy Campbell, I believe he fought. And in Indianapolis, Indiana, which was December 15th, something like that, I believe.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions of clarification here. Donnell had a visual exam by a state optometrist or an ophthalmologist?
Ophthalmologist.
Okay, an ophthalmologist, so that's a medical doctor, not even an optometrist, and he passed. Mm-hmm. And he had no additional tests, but they suddenly announced that he's no longer eligible.
Exactly.
My gosh, what was the explanation?
Haven't really got one. It's the runaround. Getting a runaround. For those of y'all that don't know, in a lot of these groups and Facebook groups and stuff, you don't understand the business of boxing is a dirty business, guys. The business side of the sport is a dirty business. These fighters get done dirty constantly. They go in there and put their life on the line every time. Okay? And a guy sitting out there with a tie on in the crowd is usually making as much money as them, if not more, for what they're doing. Okay? So, and then, like I said, what's the reason I issued a disclaimer earlier? I don't necessarily represent the views of my fighters or the views of people. It's anything. I don't care if you're just filling up the fax machine at the office for us. I can't speak for their state of, their thoughts. Or Professor can't either. We don't know. All we can do is say how we feel and what, it leaves question marks. It leaves a lot of question marks, a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm not getting answers to yet. That nobody's getting answers to yet. So just don't feel as if it was handled right. And
I have got to ask you, how was the notification delivered, and who delivered it?
It was delivered to Darnell. And
they called Darnell.
Yeah.
And Office Flunky told him that they changed their mind.
Pretty much, yeah. And it was Badine, Kaneloff, World of Boxing, Roy Engelbrecht. That's.
Darnell didn't say anything about what the justification was, or
no,
he's some runaround that he didn't understand.
Exactly. He said that all he got was
Just like yesterday, somebody pulled some Stangolese on him.
Exactly.
Because I didn't see any documentation, but I did go on the California State Athletic Commission's website to find out exactly what they demand visually of a fighter, and it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't even have many provisions, but the visual acuity, which is measured on by, this, but just in case some of our listeners don't, I'll go over it. It's measured by what a person sees, how close the person has to be to see what he should see at 20 feet. Mm-hmm. And you can't have anything less than 2200 in either eye. So one eye could be pretty bad, but the other eye has to be as good as 2060. And Donnell does not have 2200 vision in either eye. He talked to me, and I presume he's telling the truth. I don't see why he would lie to me about such a thing, but he told me that he has 2060 vision.
Yeah. And
that he passed, and it was recorded at 2060 degrees, 2060 vision. So that means at 20 feet, he sees what he should see at 60 feet.
Exactly.
And it means that he might not be the best driver without glasses.
That's basically what it means.
It also means that if there's a fighter standing in front of him and they are at long distance, he might not see a relatively small tattoo on his shoulder very well, but he would have absolutely no trouble seeing the punch coming.
Exactly.
Like, he might not see the small lettering on the boxing glove, but he knows that it's a boxing glove, and he can see the slight little twitch on the lateral deltoid as the opponent is starting to throw his punch. I was going to ask you about that. I presume you know a little